Our next verb is the POST verb. Now, the POST verb is used to add resource. If you remember, we used get to get or retrieve a resource, and the POST verb is used to add resource. The POST verb should contain a message body that specifies the resource to be added. Or in other words, when sending a request using the POST verb, then sending a verb and a URL, like in the get verb, is not enough. The request should contain a body so that the server will know what resource it should add. And this information naturally is not contained in the URL itself, because the URL points to the resource address to be added and not to the resource itself. So again, a request using the POST verb should always contain a body specifies the resource to be added. Now, another thing to note about the POST is that a POST request should not contain any query string parameters. If you remember, with get, we can use query string parameters, but with POST, we cannot. So a URL like that is not valid for POST verb. Okay, great. So let's do a short demo of the POST. So, like in the previous demo, we will begin with Bceptor. And again, let's click the mocking rules and we will create a new rule. And here make sure to select POST in the method. So the URL of the API, of the POST API we are going to create will be /API/order, and we will respond by saying that the status of adding a new resource is created. Now, later in this course, we will discuss what is the right way to return a created status. It has something to do with the status code. There is a specific status code designates created, but again, we will talk about it later. As of now, we will stay with the 200 status and the response body that contains the status created. Okay, great. So now let's save the rule and go to Postman to test the API we just created. And again, I will drag it from my other monitor. Here it is. Okay, great. So in order to test the API we made, we are going to first select the POST verb from this drop down. And now let's just enter, oh, it's right here. Let's just enter the URL of the API. Now, note something interesting. Do you remember the URL that we tested in the previous lecture with the get verb? So note that the URL itself, this part, is identical. It has the same domain and the same ending. It's API/order. But from the REST API point of view, it's a completely different API because the verb is a different one. So again, don't look always only on the URL. Always look also on the verb. As we said earlier, in order to use the POST verb, we need to include a body. So click here on the body tab and select row. With row, we can type the exact string that will be sent to the server. So naturally, in this case, we want the body to represent a new order that we want the server to add. Let's type in a JSON representing a new order, and we will do it like this. This is an order, and the order has an order date, which is this one, and an order user, which we will do it like this. And let's add also the total cost of the order, and we will put it like this. Okay, great, and we'll close this. And so we have a JSON structure represents the new order that we want to add. So we built this body, and let's click send. And we've got exactly the status that we expected. So the status is created. Of course, we are getting here the 200, which is exactly what we asked Bceptor to return. Size is same as the previous demo, 218 bytes. And it took a little bit more than 1 second. Okay, great. So this is how we are using the POST verb. So again, the POST is used to add a resource. And in this demo, we added a new order to the server.